Phosphene is literally the things we see when we have our eyes closed. So when you close your eyes, you see a series of movements behind your eyelids, colors, shapes, but also in a deeper way, you tap into a lot of memories. Through Phosphene, I'm envisioning a collection of memories, a community of memories that I hope will enlighten the viewer in connecting with their own memories. So this concept is a way to connect through those colors that I'm seeing, these flashes of light, these memories, and through that abstraction, create paintings. I started the series while I was in my hometown in Miami, outdoors, and I was out there looking at the sun through the trees and seeing the way that light would filter through the trees and cause shadows, have movement through the breeze. And all of this, when I would blink my eyes, I would have this experience of phosphene again and again. I decided to start a series of small canvases and works on paper, just really as an experiment. I try and envision myself as a small person, really tiny, and that the canvases themselves are actually big. So the texture, the sequences of gestures, and the mark making don't change in scale, because what's changed is that I'm imagining myself as very tiny. The texture is a combination of color and building up the surface, but a lot of the gestural mark making is writing, and I'm writing stories. Stories that are tapping into a collection of memories, a collection of the community that I experience around me, whether I'm in Miami or Hong Kong, New York, or in London. 2020, the pandemic really changed and shifted everything. During that winter, I became very sick with COVID-19, and I was hospitalized and in a coma for 3 months. During that period, the coma dreams really started to inform my own psyche. What happens in those dreams, you later register as real life memories, as if everything that happened in those dreams was real. So waking up after 3 months from a coma, all of these things that I thought were real were now part of my storytelling. Tapping into those dreams and what had occurred color-wise, I was thinking about the flashes of light, how I would go from one dream to another. And I started to do a series of paintings after a year of recovery. One would be polarities, which I showed in Detroit. And that series of paintings started to really happen during another series that I started called Blooms of Mold, which predates that, and it was made in the hospital. These tiny watercolors that I made of landscapes, that I was able to do these really large-scale paintings that eventually showed at the Brooklyn Museum. And everything was changing for me in terms of painting, because I introduced landscapes and this idea of mycelium being the community of network communication that was happening in the painting that was reflective of my own community, and sort of reaching out to all of these things that we were all experiencing together. So the paintings weren't so much about me and my experience as much as it was about tapping into what we were all collectively talking about and experiencing. I start to see that even though we had gone through so much difficulties through the pandemic and almost dying, essentially, that not much had changed and that things were actually getting tougher. Actually, the world around us seems to be getting even more abstract, because politicians, people in power, seem to always have a great excuse to have money to go to war and to have money to subsidize and bail out banks. But when you need money for education, you need money for healthcare, they don't have that money. It all doesn't work. So if it all doesn't work, then abstraction seems to be the way for humanity to find answers, ambiguity. Phosphene is the most ambiguous thing that I could search my ideas from, because I'm literally thinking of light coming through my eyes while they're closed, and seeing and imagining and hoping that the paintings could help others imagine in their own way, through their own phosphene, through their own series of darkness and light and emotions. The phosphene period is a sort of self-purification of all the experiences that were quite dark. And it allows me to think about darkness and the light that you bring into the darkness. And when you have your eyes closed, what is it you think about?